Welcome to the Scenario Podcast, your guide to mental health and well-being. Each episode, we uncover practical tools, discuss expert insights, and explore how supplements can transform your mental health journey. Get ready to learn, grow, and thrive with us.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling something that trips a lot of people up, I think. Dietary supplements. You see them everywhere, and there's always this question hanging in the air, right? Does the FDA actually approve these things before they end up on the shelf?
That really is the absolute core of the confusion. And look, the straight answer, it's no. Supplements are definitely regulated by the FDA, but they're not approved in the way prescription medicines are. It sounds like semantics, but it's a huge legal difference. It affects everything, safety, quality, whether they work, and it puts the burden square on you, the consumer.
Okay, so that's our mission today. Let's unpack that difference. We need to dig into the law behind it, DSHEA you mentioned, and figure out what FDA regulation really means for you, and maybe more importantly, what it doesn't mean.
Exactly. And to get why there's no pre-market approval, we have to talk about the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act, DSHEA. It was passed back in 1994.
DSHEA. That's the law that basically defines what a supplement is, isn't it?
It's the foundational piece, yes. DSHEA essentially created a whole separate category for dietary supplements, classifying them as a type of food, not as drugs. So, things with vitamins, minerals, herbs, amino acids. Anything meant to supplement the diet falls under this umbrella, and that means a totally different set of rules than for pharmaceuticals.
And that classification, food not drug, that's the real game changer here. Because drugs have that high bar, right? Prove safety, prove effectiveness before selling.
That's the critical point. Drugs need that comprehensive pre-market FDA approval. Safety and effectiveness, supplements, neither. The FDA's role is mostly post-market. They watch for problems after the product is already out there.
Okay, but you mentioned something earlier, new dietary ingredients, NDIs. That sounds like some kind of check before it goes on sale.
It is, technically, but it's quite limited. If a company wants to use an ingredient that wasn't sold in the U.S. before October 1994, they need to tell the FDA about it 75 days before they launch. And this notification, it has to include information suggesting the ingredient is reasonably expected to be safe for its intended use.
Wait a minute. Reasonably expecting to be safe. That sounds, well, kind of weak. It doesn't mean they've proved it works, or even that it is definitively safe, just that they think it probably is.
Precisely. It's a very low bar. It's really just a heads up for the FDA, meant to flag completely new substances. It is absolutely not an approval. And crucially, it requires zero proof of effectiveness. The manufacturer just gives the FDA their rationale for why they believe it's safe.
Okay, so if the FDA isn't signing off on effectiveness or purity beforehand, the responsibility must land squarely on the manufacturer, right?
100%. The company making and selling the supplement is solely responsible for ensuring it's safe, pure, made correctly, and labeled accurately before it ever hits the shelf. They're only held accountable if, well, something goes wrong later.
Right. So if they're kind of grading their own homework, what are the rules? There must be some kind of quality standard they have to follow.
There is, and it's called Good Manufacturing Practice Standards, or GMPs. This is really the backbone of the FDA's regulatory oversight for supplements. GMPs demand quality standards at every single stage: sourcing the ingredients, the actual manufacturing, packaging, labeling, even storage.
How does that work in reality? Like, what does it mean day to day for a manufacturer?
Think of it as a mandatory paper trail, a very detailed one. GMPs require them to document absolutely everything. So if, say, a bad batch of vitamin C gets reported, the manufacturer has to be able to tell the FDA instantly, okay, we got that raw ingredient from this supplier, it was bottled on this machine, and this person signed off on the quality check. It allows for tracing problems back to the source and hopefully ensures consistency and minimizes contamination.
Gotcha. Now, something I see all the time is labels saying, made in an FDA-registered facility. I'll admit, I've looked at that and thought, okay, good. The FDA knows about this place. They must have checked it out.
Yes. That phrase is, well, it's incredibly effective marketing, but potentially very misleading for consumers. Here's the thing. All facilities that manufacture supplements must register with the FDA. But registration is just putting your address on a list. It simply gives the FDA the legal right to show up and inspect the facility to see if they are following those GMPs we just talked about.
So registering is just like saying, here's where we are, you can inspect us if you want. It's definitely not an FDA stamp of approval on the product itself.
Exactly. It means nothing about the quality or safety of the actual product in the bottle. It's purely procedural. You should basically ignore FDA-registered facility when you're deciding what to buy.
Okay, shifting slightly. Once a supplement is out there, it's not just the FDA watching, is it? There are two agencies involved.
That's right. There's a split in oversight, which is important. The FDA handles the product itself, what's in the bottle, the manufacturing standards, the labeling on the package. But then you have the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC. They watch over the advertising and marketing claims.
The claims made on TV, online, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Websites, social media, commercials, the FTC looks for claims that are false or misleading. It's a crucial partnership. If a company, say, claims their pill cures arthritis, that's a disease claim. Both the FDA and the FTC can step in, issue warnings, or levy some pretty hefty fines.
Okay, let's go back to the FDA's part, the label. You said that's the best tool we have as consumers. What absolutely has to be on there?
Every supplement is required to have a supplement facts panel. It looks a lot like the nutrition facts on food. It must list the serving size, the amount of each dietary ingredient per serving, so vitamins, minerals, herbs, whatever it is, and then also all the other ingredients like fillers, binders, colors. Total transparency on what's inside.
Right. And then there are those claims you see, the softer ones, like supports heart health or helps maintain strong bones. How do they make those claims if they haven't proven they work to the FDA?
Those are called structure function claims. They're allowed as long as they describe how a nutrient or ingredient affects the normal structure or function of the body. It's a careful line they walk. A drug might say, treats high blood pressure. A supplement can only say something like, helps maintain healthy blood pressure levels already within the normal range. See the difference? It's about maintaining function, not treating disease.
And there's mandatory small print that goes with those claims, isn't there? The big red flag for consumers.
Absolutely required. Every single structure function claim must be accompanied by a specific disclaimer. It has to say that the statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. And, just as importantly, that the product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. If you see a health claim without that exact disclaimer, the product is breaking the rules.
Okay, so if the FDA isn't really checking things before launch, how does enforcement actually happen? How do bad products get caught?
This is where that post-market oversight comes in. It's reactive, but it's critical. The FDA's main tool is monitoring adverse event reports. They have the MedWatch system where consumers, doctors, pharmacists can report side effects, allergic reactions, contamination issues, anything suspicious about a product.
So it really relies on people like us reporting problems.
It really does. Those reports are vital. They trigger FDA investigations, and sometimes what they find is pretty alarming. You hear about undeclared prescription drugs hidden in supplements, things like Viagra ingredients in male enhancement products or powerful stimulants in weight loss pills marketed as all natural. If the FDA finds a product is adulterated, meaning it's contaminated or has hidden ingredients, or if it's just unsafe or mislabeled, they can issue warnings, force a recall, seize products, or even take legal action against the company.
Wow. Okay, so given that there's no government approval beforehand, that leaves a pretty big gap in assurance for consumers, which brings us to third-party testing. That seems incredibly important then.
It is absolutely crucial. These independent third-party organizations step into that gap left by the lack of pre-market FDA review. When a company voluntarily submits its products for testing by one of these groups, they're basically getting an independent audit of their quality.
And people should know the main seals to look for, right? Like the USP seal, NSF International, ConsumerLab.com.
Yes, those are the major players.
That's right.
And seeing one of their sales on a product is meaningful because they verify several key things for you. One, that the product actually contains the ingredients stated on the label. Two, that it contains them in the amounts listed you're not getting shortchanged or dangerously high doses. And three, very importantly, that the product is free from harmful levels of contaminants. Things like heavy metals, pesticides, bacteria, or even those undeclared drugs we talked about. That seal is probably your best bet for quality assurance.
Makes sense. Now let's quickly bust a few common myths that seem to persist because of this, well, regulatory gray area. Myth number one, natural automatically means safe.
Oh, that's a big one. And completely false. I mean, arsenic is natural, poison ivy is natural. Many natural ingredients can have potent effects, cause side effects, or, very importantly, interact badly with prescription medications.
Which leads right into myth number two. Supplements won't interfere with my prescriptions.
Also false, and potentially dangerous. St. John's wort is a classic example. It can interfere with antidepressants, birth control pills, blood thinners. Ginkgo biloba can increase bleeding risk if you're on blood thinners. You absolutely must talk to your doctor or pharmacist about all supplements you take, especially if you're on medication.
Okay, and the last big one, myth 3. If a major store sells it, it must be okay. They must have checked it out.
That's just wishful thinking, unfortunately. A retailer's decision to stock a product is mostly about business, will it sell? It's not a guarantee of safety or effectiveness. In this market, the responsibility really falls on you to research brands and look for those markers of quality, like third-party certification.
So let's bring it all together. When you're standing in that aisle tomorrow, what's the absolute bottom line? It sounds like FDA regulation ensures manufacturers follow certain rules, especially after the product is sold, but it's definitely not a guarantee of safety or effectiveness before you buy it.
That's the critical takeaway. Regulation means standards and oversight, particularly GMPs and labeling. It does not mean FDA approval like you get with drugs, so you need to be skeptical, especially of miracle cures. Always talk to your doctor before starting something new, particularly if you have health conditions or take other meds. Avoid anything claiming to treat a disease, and really prioritize brands that follow GMPs and ideally have that third-party testing seal.
You know, going back to that new dietary ingredient notification where the standard is just reasonably expected to be safe, not proven effective. That sets up an interesting final thought, doesn't it?
It really does. It highlights the system's focus on basic safety over proven benefit for new ingredients.
Right. So the system sort of guarantees a baseline safety check was done, but offers zero assurance the ingredient will actually do what the product claims. Makes you wonder, when you pick a supplement, especially a newer one, how much weight should you give the claimed health benefit versus the documented safety and quality practices of the company making it? Something to think about.
Thanks for tuning in to the Scenario Podcast. Don't forget to visit scenario.com for more expert tips, articles, and supplements designed to support your mental health. If you enjoyed this episode, remember to subscribe and share it with a friend. Until next time, take care of yourself.